watching KARK4 News at 4.
Massive damage. You're taking a look in Lonoke County, where many homes have been damaged, trees blocking roadways, and many areas underwater due to flash flooding. It has been a busy afternoon. We want to get straight to our team coverage. Right now, Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan joins us, as well as Hayden Nix. You guys were just going into, I believe, almost 4 hours of storm coverage.
Yeah, Mallory, I mean, I witnessed some of that damage that delayed me getting in here of a possible tornado on I-30 near the 430 interchange. Semis blown over, trees and power lines down, and that damage continued up and toward up into parts of southwest Little Rock. And also, you know, you're looking at pictures of Lonoke County where there's reported damage, lots of flooding, and we have been busy this afternoon.
Absolutely. You guys have been on the air, wall-to-wall coverage. We want to see where we are. I know that tornado warning just expired in Jackson County. Hayden, what does it look like right now?
We're going to take a tour of the state for you to kind of give you an update of what happened here this afternoon. We had a lot going on, and it all came from what we call a mesoscale convective vortex. I know if you've been watching, we mentioned that a couple of times. It is a very complicated phenomenon that can occur whenever you got multiple organizations of thunderstorms trying to work its way together and then creating that circulation. And that's what happened. And it actually formed in northeastern Texas and then worked its way off towards the northeast and really tightened up as it moved along just out of Arkadelphia, the core of which, and then moved directly over Pulaski County, the city of Little Rock. And what's left right now is what's continued to work its way into northeastern Arkansas with a tornado warning that is near for Clay and Greene counties north of Jonesboro. So if you do have any family members that live in that area, let them know they need to tune into the local television stations there. K8, one of those, for example, just to provide that coverage there. But that's what's left of it. I just want to kind of give you another tour here. We're not really concerned about northwestern Arkansas, even though there's a little shower there to the northeast of Clarksville. That is looking good. Nothing severe out of that. But I do want to take you off towards northeastern Arkansas with a better view here. And you can just see what's left of that. It's really kind of worked its way down compared to what it looked like earlier, but still that kind of subtle counterclockwise flow that's actually kind of worked its way out of the central core that was near White County and started to see another portion kind of rebuilding in itself of a counterclockwise motion. Now, what we're considering here is what we call a mini low. In and of itself, it's just a much smaller portion of a larger synoptic low, which is basically multi-states in size, and that's what we're watching there. It's just a smaller scale, and it's staying well confined, and that's what's allowed for some of these smaller circulations, the change of wind direction with height. That is what is conducive ingredient-wise to help encourage for tornadic production, and that is what we've seen a lot of here this afternoon, especially into central Arkansas. So that's what's left of it. Tornado watch in effect until 7 p.m. I'm going to step out of the screen just to show you we've got a lot of flash flood warnings still in play here. The earliest one that's set to expire in about 45 minutes. This one is for portions of Faulkner, Lonoke, and White counties until 5:15. And then we've got another one that is going to expire at 5:45 for portions of Jackson, Prairie, White, and Woodruff County. And then a little bit farther towards the northeast, it is Independence, Jackson, and Woodruff County until 6:45. So a lot of rain over a short period of time. And folks, in that area, there's not a lot of grade to speed that water along, so it's slow moving, so there's going to be likely some flooding issues for a little while. That's why that's going to last for the next 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So that tornado watch still in effect until 7 p.m. I'd even say it's safe to maybe start to trim some of these back on the far western side closest to Little Rock, like White County, Cleveland County, and portions of Prairie County, but that has not been officially called by the National Weather Service. Hopefully we'll get them to trim those back here in just a little bit, but still the main focus now, the northeastern half of the state, and coming up in a little bit we'll have an update to your forecast because we're not done with the rain just yet. More of that possible over the next couple of days, and flooding unfortunately still possible, and even the chance for maybe a strong to severe thunderstorm. And we're going to go out to Mitch McCoy, which is live right now. We've got a lot of reporters across central Arkansas looking at coverage and damage of what's been going on. And Mitch, you've been seeing a lot of that where you've been.
Yeah, I have. Good afternoon to you, Hayden, and good afternoon to everyone back there in the studio. We are trying to process exactly what happened here in northern Pulaski County. We're about 3 miles from the Lonoke County line. This is the debris and the damage. This is actually parts of what used to be a shop and a barn, and you can actually see some of the barn now in pieces, all of the wood now just laying on the ground here, and we're told that This all happened during those tornado warnings over the last few hours as we've been reporting to you. I want to point you guys, though, to across the street, and this is what the National Weather Service looks at when they come out and they try and process exactly what unfolded, whether it be straight line winds or a tornado. It's the damage across the street. You see a lot of that in the tree lines. As we were driving by, we saw some of that damage wrapped around in the tree line. So that's going to be stuff that they look at, the meteorologist from the National Weather Service. We spoke with the person who lives out here. She says that her home was actually partially damaged in a tornado back in the 1980s. Take a listen to what Lee Reed had to say.
When I got home, I found that. I wasn't too far behind it, but it was raining real hard coming in from Searcy. I got off the freeway at Cabot and worked my way back over to here. And it was pretty scary just driving. You couldn't see anything.
I bet you're happy, you're glad that you weren't hurt or your home wasn't damaged.
Everything else can be replaced or done without, but family and friends cannot be replaced.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about, what was over there that was damaged.
The tractor's damaged. The front glass is knocked out a bit. The trailer got picked up and moved. We think it's okay. The rake's damaged. We don't think my lawnmower was in the shop. We got it and put it in dry. It's just what you see is what you got.
Have you ever experienced something like this before?
Oh yeah, 1973, when the big tornado come through, it took the back. All it did was it come top the hill. Daddy saw it, and he said, "Here it comes," and there it goes, and it took the back of the truck off, back of the house off.
Downtown Cabot.
Okay. And did it take the same path that this one did?
Yeah, so you were listening to her, and she said that tornado went through and damaged a lot of, this area back in the 70s years ago. And this is Mallory, that concrete slab where the shop was, and of course you see what is now left. And I want to just point you to this tree here that is uprooted, and this is also something that the National Weather Service will look at and just trying to process exactly what unfolded up here. But Mallory, just to give you a perspective, this wasn't just a northern Pulaski County, Lonoke County area thing. This was something that also impacted Little Rock. I was talking to one of my friends, and he said that he was in the gym, and when all of the phones started going off saying that there was a tornado warning in Little Rock, everyone just left. So I know that we have other reporters down in Little Rock, so we'll send it back to you for now.
Thank you. Really, that damage, it's tough to see some of the trees down. That happened all over the area. He was talking about Little Rock, I-30 and Baseline really getting hit hard. You saw that firsthand.
Yeah, I had gone through there about 10 minutes after the storm had gone through when the first tornado warning went out. I was leaving the house early. And yes, we were taken by surprise today.
Yes.
Admittedly, this was came out of nowhere essentially. But as I was traveling east on I-30, just past the 430 interchange, very close to Baseline, that's where it did appear that a tornado had tracked across the interstate, across the service roads, power lines, trees down, as well as semis.
Semis turned over.
Completely turned over.
Unbelievable.
So obviously a lot of wind power in that area, and as Hayden had mentioned, National Weather Service is going to be sending out meteorologists to, of course, survey that damage. And speaking of that damage down there, we're joined by Susan Elcori. Susan, it looks like it's cleaned up a bit more from when I drove through several hours ago. How's the cleanup going there now?
Yeah, Keith, crews have started picking things up here. We're in the Little Rock Fence Co. parking lot, and behind me you can see where their building had a lot of damage. Most of it tarped off now after their roof was torn off. Just past there you can see where their insulation is stuck in the fence. There's debris. That semi that you see over there upright for the Diesel Driving Academy, that had been knocked over. They have since been able to pick it up, and then just crossing I-30 is where you can see more damage from this. This, though, parking lot building here are where we're seeing some of the worst damage. And I did talk to a man who was in his car in this parking lot when the storm passed by. He described seeing a wall of debris coming. He said he stayed in his car and it was being hit by things like 2x4s, metal poles. Amazingly, though, none of that damaged his windshield. He had a little damage to his car. Here's what he had to say.
I didn't know what to do. I really didn't. I started the truck up and I thought to back up, but I didn't know which way it was coming. You know, if it was coming in front of me or behind me. I didn't know if I was driving into it, so I just hunkered down, ride it out.
When you got out, what did you see?
Destruction.
He was one of two people who was at the Little Rock Fence Co. when the storm passed through. The other man was inside the building, but tells me he made it through without any bumps or scratches. Little Rock police tell me one person was injured out here. They were out on I-30 when a street sign hit their car, and they did have minor injuries from that, but nothing that required hospitalization. Live in Little Rock, Susan O'Corey, back to you.
Susan, thank you. And as the storm was happening, we were hearing a lot of reports from Kellogg Road being blocked because of downed trees, power lines in that area. Price McKeon joins us live with the very latest on that. Price.
Right, we're in the newsroom. We're gathering information from crews out in the field, and they found a woman who said she was having trouble getting to her house right there on Kellogg Acres Road. And why she had trouble, we'll take a look at this video right here and you can see why. We're going to roll that any minute. And there were power lines. There you go. You see it. That damage. People familiar with this area. This is near Simler Road around 3 this afternoon. We saw large trees uprooted like this one that fell onto a power line. As some people appear to have already started that cleanup process. We met Paulina Weeks, who was still just trying to make it to her home.
It being gone, or I mean, I still can't get there. My husband's on the other side and he can't get there, and just not knowing, I mean, just not knowing if it's okay.
That was her best friend standing there next to her trying to help her get to her home. Now Weeks told us that she does not believe that the tree hit her home, but of course she won't know for 100% until she's able to get there or her husband can get there and give her a call. Back to you.
Price McKeon live in the newsroom. Price, thank you. Keeping an eye on power outages at this time. Pulaski County with the majority.
Yes, obviously it's the most densely populated county in the state, and as of right now, nearly 5,000 people are 5,000 customers, I should say, are without power, and you could see from that video very clearly why. We have trees down on power lines, and that is going to continue to hopefully slowly get restored. We've got crews from First Electric as well as Entergy out there. Of course, they've got to clear the debris off the power lines first before anything could be started to work on, and then of course the repairs and then the re-energizing of the lines. Remember folks, if you're out and about, if you go to come up to a signalized intersection that the power's out, treat that as a four-way stop. You just don't get to blow through it.
No.
Because you can kill somebody.
Absolutely.
So if it's got lights up there and they're not working, it is a four-way stop. It'll just take you a couple of minutes. Be patient.
Be safe out there.
And be safe out there.
Now going into rush hour, it could be a messy commute tonight. Little Rock had a lot of damage from this storm. We want to bring in Rebecca Jeffrey, who is live, who has been out in that area. And Rebecca, where exactly are you and what do you see?
Well, Mallory, we are here in Southwest Little Rock on Baseline, where they just opened up the road for the first time in several hours today. You can see that there are still some crews that are coming through. We know that Sibley Hole, just about a block down the street on Baseline, still is closed because of several trees that are down on that road. However, we are seeing that Baseline is finally starting to open up. The tree that we had been watching them work on to try to get out of the road, they have finally done it. It's been impressive to watch, but now we are seeing some cars starting to be able to get over here. Little Rock Church is over here. We know that they've been allowing people coming in from the other side to get to that church, and there are a few homes in the area. However, other folks have been having to find alternative routes to get to where they're going because Baseline has been closed until up to this point. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this and some other parts here because we know that businesses do not have power yet or internet or anything like that at this point. So that will still be forthcoming. Live in Southwest Little Rock, back to you.
Well, thanks, Rebecca. I do want to point out, though, Rebecca, that you're in an area, or she was in an area, is in an area that actually is just north of where Susan L. Corey was.
Yes.
Which kind of tracks with the idea that this may have been a brief tornado causing the damage along Interstate 30 and moving its way across Interstate 30 up into where I believe it is Snipes, I forget the name of the road up in that area, Maplevale area, southwest Little Rock. That particular area, it very well could have been a brief tornado that did that damage.
You kind of see that path as it followed, the brief spin up possibly.
Once when I saw her location and looked on the map, it is right north of where Susan O'Corey is along Interstate 30.
You know, North Little Rock also had a lot of flooding issues today. Stephanie Sharp joins us live from that area. A lot of flooding earlier. Are we still seeing those issues there now, Steph?
Hey Mallory, so just to put it into location where we are on Highway 365, basically MacArthur Drive, and as you can see behind me, the flooding is still an issue here, but it's not as bad as it was earlier today. So the flooding is going over this road, and as you can see on the other side, there's a home there. It looks like nobody's at that house right now, but they're probably just coming home from work here momentarily, since it is about that rush hour time. But this creek flooded over majorly earlier today. You can kind of see where the debris is and stuff, because that was all caught up by this flood. Where we're standing right now, just basically to the north of here, there's about 6 or so homes over there, and people there weren't able to get to their houses because that road was also flooded. There was also flooding in a house nearby where there were cars in the yard, and this water, it was so flooded that the water went up to the door handles. So that just goes to show how much water is out here. We talked to one lady earlier. She says that she doesn't think that the culverts are clear enough for this water to drain out, and that's why this area floods. She says it doesn't happen often. However, it does happen from time to time. But I guess good news out here is that it is slowly starting to go down. So hopefully the folks that live in this house right behind us, they'll be able to get to their house hopefully pretty soon when all of this starts clearing out. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Stephanie Sharp live. Stephanie, thank you. Be safe out there, and we are back with more storm coverage right after this. You're watching KARK 4 News at 4.
You're watching KARK 4 News at 4.
We continue our storm coverage here on KARK 4 News at 4. This all started earlier around 1 o'clock. Quickly, our social media, we began getting pictures of the damage, pictures of flooding. You have been collecting these. Our reporter, Haley Brooks, has kind of made a compilation of them, and just seeing the wide array of damage. There's a lot out there.
Trees uprooted. We have a lot of flooding photos, cars tipped over, just you name it, we've got a photo of it. So we're going to go through a couple of them right now that we have. Corey K sent us this video from BB. Let's see if we can make it a little bit bigger for you, of just backyard flooding. And I think that everyone can relate to this, because I know that my front yard looks like this right now, and it can just get way worse than that. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit more. Here is a tree uprooted, and I think this is in Jacksonville, with small debris and more trees down, power lines down. I think you had the power outage numbers earlier, but
that's right. I believe we're just at under 4,000. But taking a look there at Jacksonville, at one point the Arkansas Storm Team, you know, looking at a possible tornado in that area going towards the Little Rock Air Force Base. So you can see where some of that damage, not a tornado there, but definitely some wind damage. These are really the startling photos when you see semis turned over.
Big trucks flipped over is just scary, yes.
Our reporter Michael Esparza put that into perspective earlier when he was taking a look at some of those photos of overturned semis. An empty semi is 35,000 pounds. To see the power it would take to flip one over.
To flip one over just from the winds and
unbelievable.
Scary.
You can still submit your photos safely. Haley will be finding those on our KARK Facebook page, Twitter, and online on KARK.com. You can see those. Plus, all of the storm coverage that you've seen today. We have team coverage of reporters who are out throughout Central Arkansas and the state who have a wrap-up of that. And you've seen in the newsroom, they are busy getting ready.
Busy bees collecting
all the information, putting everything on Facebook so you guys can access it whenever. And of course, we're going to continue coverage right here too on air.
That's right. The Arkansas Storm Team will be back. ARK and Ford News at 5 starts very soon with a full wrap-up of team coverage. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon. Be safe out there, and we'll be back with more news and weather in just a few minutes. Stick around.